Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Max the Curse of Brotherhood. We've barely spent one level in the wetlands and it seems like we are now already leaving the wetlands, which I guess that inherently implies that they really only had one gimmick in the wetlands, which was branches actively being surfboards and water being a thing, gaining the water ability. Alright. And it gave me like a second there to pull myself up because I was in the water. We may spend a little bit more time here at the wetlands than I thought we might. More and more they are being fairly obvious about what the solution is as far as puzzles. Interesting. The green seems like it can't really be broken very easily. Alright. And I guess we're kind of at a point here where I'm going to try to get a lot of these collectibles, a lot of these eyes and such, but I really don't have a lot of faith that I'm going to get them all. Like, I suspect I will end up getting 80-90% of them at most, and then that'll be that. Well, if that worked that way. Interesting. I just got another achievement called Master Branches, which I suspect probably is an indicator that I've just made a certain number of branches. I'm not quite sure what I'm doing wrong here, though. If I fling myself just with the water, I'm not quite far enough. Unfortunately, this is becoming more and more the case, though, is that I'm finding that there's just puzzles that are a little bit tighter, a little bit more difficult to defeat, where the solutions I don't think quite make the most amount of sense. Alright. If we go straight out this way, we get about halfway through here and break that. That seems to be fairly safe. And then yeah, more and more we run into puzzles like this where it's not a logical reason as to why things are difficult. It's simply a skill-based reason why things are being difficult. And if this really is supposed to be a kid's game, then arguably it shouldn't be that difficult to just get down. We're just gonna ride these river rapids, I think, for quite a while. It at least checkpointed you, but it's questionable. Certainly, if we're not running into yet another difficulty spike, the frequency of difficulty spikes seem to increase. Notice how that is also a cutscene that they are drawing there of the waterfall. Not. Hopefully there's a checkpoint there. It's so zoomed out. I don't see a real reason for it to be that zoomed out. And anytime you have a sequence like this, it then becomes questionable whether you're walking right past some kind of secret collectible. I suspect I wasn't actually supposed to drop down to the other location. Suspect the solution here is actually to reach this, which it kind of just naturally lets go of the rope, and then do this, and then use this. That's a very awkward maneuver. And I have no idea whether I'm supposed to just kind of drop down or what. They did introduce these exploding pods as being a thing. But this is a great example of a puzzle where if you get the angles even slightly wrong, you're setting yourself up for failure and that instant death instead of a rewinding of time like you would expect from a Prince of Persia game. Something like that would be very helpful. And Sands of Time almost certainly existed before this game came out. If you compare the level of graphics that Sands of Time looks like versus notice how the music just decided to stop and reset there. So that gimmick, in all fairness, the time rewind mechanism in Prince of Persia Sands of Time is difficult to program. I'm not sure even in modern days it's super easy, but it's so necessary, and it was so revolutionary that you really can't make a platformer without at least thinking about having that ability. Okay. Now what? Like, there's nothing here. Just jump. And time doesn't slow down or anything. You can do this, but what does that do? I have no clue. If I was to do this and do this, that wouldn't work. You basically have to draw a straight line, and you have to draw a straight line there. There's no way back up. So, unless I'm supposed to load last checkpoint because I moved ahead, I'm very confused. Maybe the idea is to do something like that. I guess that's pretty much the only option. The problem with that is that's pretty much never going to really work. I would need this to be right at its peak, and then I would have to probably jump on it at that same time. Alright. And then you're just doomed there, so unless we've got a checkpoint, you now have a very difficult trick in this that won't work half the time, at least half the time. Is there perhaps a higher angle? You would think that that would almost be like hard programmed in such a way. And you will just immediately start to lose momentum. So you don't have any time to lollygag once you draw the second vine. So I need to be basically ready to jump on this spot. And is that going to be a checkpoint? One would hope. But one can't be certain, because the game doesn't tell you anything like that. This is not really any different than a chase sequence, other than the fact that there isn't something actively chasing you. You still have that high level of pressure that you really don't want to have exist when you're doing puzzle platforming. It just does not work particularly well. Let's see if this is good enough to just push this that way. Yep. So that didn't need to be a particular shape. I'll jump up here and collect another one of these pieces.
Nice job, Max.
Well, I guess we're getting towards the ends of the edge of that. It'll be fairly annoying if it turns out you don't get a good ending in the game unless you collect all of the secrets, all of the eyeballs and such. Oops. Well, I'm doomed now. I missed an eyeball. See, that's kind of a terrible place in particular. Because I bet I've already hit a checkpoint. Nope, I haven't, so. But if I was going to come back and do this level a second time to try and get collectibles, I don't think you'd get very far with that, because I would have to do the whole sequences up until this point, unless the game actively lets me choose specific checkpoints, which that would be very nice, but I have no faith that this game would have that, where it would show you a screenshot of like specific checkpoints and let you load to those specific checkpoints. And that's a little too much extra work for just one eyeball. Very often you want it to be more of a case where the game would say you can get 90% of all the collectibles and you'll get the good ending, and there is no special achievement for going higher than 90%. That being said, that's almost never really the way things go. And this definitely is an achievement-based game that almost certainly will only give you an achievement if you 100% all the collectibles. Alright. Down we go. Nearly falling to our death. And I guess we have one more evil eye we could try and find. Once again, you have a danger section. I'm uncertain if that is what's supposed to happen. This could be more of a case where I'm supposed to draw something here that the water would blow up. But I have a hard time believing that's actually the case. Which then just kind of makes me suspect the rope is just supposed to be there. And I don't know why. Yeah, you overshoot that, you overshoot that. And the rope does catch that. And then do you just jump down? I guess you do. There's this odd tree here and then odd nothing on the side. Alright. It's weird that the music reboots. Resets. It fades out just a little bit. I guess this is what we're going for. It's probably something slow. I guess we're spending a little bit more time in the wetlands than I suspected we would. I don't know if I would particularly describe it as that much time though. And it looks like we missed the last evil eye, or it's inside the cave. Let's see if this works. Again, if we don't see the evil eye and we just move to the next level, then we would potentially have to play the entire level again.
Rose again.
And we're back to these guys.
That was easy.
Perhaps there was just a desire to remind people that those characters existed.
Down you go.
Could also be that there's multiple of these guys and they just constantly, continuously spawn. If that was the case, I don't know what you could do.
Who's awesome? And
I wasn't expecting gears to be turned by waterwork, the water ability. I wasn't expecting gears at all. And you would think that the water going in the pipe might be the more big deal.
Go on, go in. This is the ancient stairway bridge.
uh-huh. Pretty. Looks very stable too.
Yeah, and it looks like we've got another 5 collectibles, and even though this is really only taking about 20 minutes per level, if it's a long level, this is still probably the better point to end this recording. We're at 5-1. I suspect there are 5-4 would be our final level. Maybe we'd even get like a 5-5 separate boss fight. I'm not expecting that we'll get any other abilities, and I'm not really expecting that we'll see any major combination of the abilities to reveal some new secret or way in which things could have interacted earlier. Thinking back, as much as I can barely remember these puzzles because they just come so rapidly, it's just in one ear and out the other with all of these puzzles. I don't feel like there's a single puzzle that we've done so far that would be much easier or better solved with all of the abilities unlocked. Yeah, I just don't think that there's a secondary solution for each one of them. And this game has been relatively short enough that I also suspect there isn't going to be a checkpoint load. There probably will be a chapter select but I feel like I've probably missed a collectible in 2 or 3 levels, and in example, this previous level, I didn't even see where the eyeball was, so I have no idea where to even look. I would really need to get a walkthrough that would just tell me where all the eyeballs are, and all the secrets are. And this probably is one of those games that would have been better if you had just a walkthrough in front of you, because it really wouldn't help you too much as far as the physical actions, which there's too many of those as far as the physical sequences and the time sequences. Uh, and a walkthrough may help you with the puzzle solutions, but most players, even kids, would probably figure out the puzzle solutions on their own fairly easily. Only maybe 2 out of what I would suspect is somewhere around 50 puzzles that we've done so far in this game have been even slightly questionable as to what the solutions are. Everything else is blatantly obvious. There is definitely an argument to be made around the level of timing around when you present a puzzle, and how long a player really wants to sit with a puzzle and try and think up the solution and try and work with it, and then kind of have a refractory period where they reflect on that and don't run into another puzzle immediately after that. And arguably, in a game like The Witness, maybe they did that a lot better, because they had puzzles that were then separated by physical distance, so you had usually at least a couple of minutes of walking from point A to point B before you ran into another puzzle. Here, they are not doing anything like that. It is just puzzle after puzzle after puzzle. I'm not sure that that ratio of how much like downtime a player wants is even consistent, because I could imagine, in comparison, there are people that like to do 100-piece jigsaw puzzles, and there are people that like to do 500-piece jigsaw puzzles and 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzles, and that creates 3 categories. And then there are people that like to always be doing a jigsaw puzzle, 3 or 4 in a week, or maybe even 1 a day, depending on how big they are. And then there are people that do maybe 1 jigsaw puzzle once every couple of years, and so that creates a whole nother potential variable that could create quite a lot of variety as far as how often you should present a puzzle. For this game, I think there definitely should have been something a little bit more in between each platforming puzzle. At the very least, in between each level. That could have been backstory, book related. It could have been more cutscenes. More cutscenes, probably not the right answer, but it would be better than nothing. It could just be something as simple as playing like tic-tac-toe, or just mashing the A button to bash these bad guys. If there was a secondary class of unarmored enemies that you could like punch and fight, and you had to do some quick time events to just tap the A button and do some beat 'em up stuff, then that might be more a way to give more action to the game, while also not including the puzzles and allowing the puzzles to kind of rest. Arguably, in the Tomb Raider reboots, they went far in the opposite direction, and the Tomb Raider reboots have far too much stealth and hunting and running and gunning and shooting with bows and arrows, and far too little puzzles. So you can definitely go in the other extreme. But yeah, for this game, I think you could probably do something fairly cutesy, even if it was just like a lockpicking minigame, or a Sudoku, or tic-tac-toe. Just having to like dance to a rhythm, even any secondary gimmick would have helped flesh out this game, make it a little bit longer and a little bit less one note. And I think the one note is more of a problem than it being short, because by modern standards, short games are perfectly fine. By modern standards, this game might be too long for what it is really offering. Anyways, that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want to friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. And if you want to support me further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and get me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.